Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Hello everybody at home, and welcome to Houselights Wing of Predator, where we are going through the Predator series and looking how each director takes on this sci-fi monster and magnificent hunter. And this week we are doing Nimród and Antal's 2010's Predators. Rated R. An hour and 47 minutes, a group of elite warriors parachute into an unfamiliar jungle and are hunted by members of a merciless alien race. Now, the overly athletic but stoic individual who knows how to use a sword, Darren Moser, is with us tonight. And the man who's been out camping just a little too long.
Yes, I was hoping so. Thank you.
John Mills.
Do you hear what they're saying about me? My friend here, he can't believe what you're saying about me over here. Come on now.
Yeah, okay. All right, Darren, you and I might have to carry this one.
And
I'm your co-host, Tristan Riddell. And I am excited to talk about this one because this was my first time watching the movie in full. Like, this was one of those movies where I kept starting and kept trying to get through it. And it wasn't because, like, oh, God, this is garbage. It was just one of those circumstances where just life just pulled me away from the television each time. So this is like my third time trying and finally being able to finish. And Darren, what did you know about this movie before you watched it? Had you seen it before? Is this your first time? I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, I put my status as not having seen it before, but then when it's kind of started, I was like, this seems very familiar. And I do recall having watched it before, but it had been many years. So it was one of those where as the events kind of happen, those memories trickle to the surface, but it's not enough to remember exactly what's going to happen. So you're still kind of surprised, but it's a different surprise than a first watching. I'm sure we've all had that experience with different movies in different ways. But yeah, it was funny. We were chatting before this week, and I want to talk about our lying trailers because many a Marvel trailer before Marvel did it and it was cool. Predators apparently has a shot in it where Adrian Brody's character has the triple laser dot appear on him, and then like dozens of laser dots appear on him.
Dozens, not just like two or three. No.
Like 15 to 20 dots. Like there's a lot, and it's very implied like, oh, there's a lot of them. Yeah, that shot is not like that in the movie. We were lied to, but I don't want dozens of predators. So I was fine with the three. But going into this, I didn't really know a lot. I think I was probably coming off of a Predator 1 and 2 kick, as we often are. And we're like, oh, what else is out there? And so this was an interesting take where it felt like this Predator 2, guys. If you only watch the first Predator and you watch a sequel, as far as tone and jungle, and like this one feels much more the sequel of the original, at least in setting and things like that. Like, I'm not diminishing Predator 2. I would never in front of John, but
I'm not.
But this one is much more in the same wheelhouse, going back to basics. We may not have any, fist clamps together, but you want to talk about the start of a movie. Like, this movie literally drops you in to the plot, and I love that aspect. So that was my intro to Predators.
John, what was your first impression when you watched this? Like, I want to know your first impression, like as you're watching it, like whether you're 15 minutes in, 30 minutes in, halfway through. I'm not talking about towards the end. I'm talking about like as you're going through it. What are your first impressions while comparing it in your brain to the first and second one?
I can go back to the first time I watched it because I didn't go see this in the movie theater because, the various different things going on in life, had kid, blah, 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 all the usual excuses and everything like that. And quite frankly, just like wild skepticism about it because the Alien versus Predator movies had burned me so badly that I was pretty much done. I'd walked away, especially after Requiem. I was just like, this franchise is dead to me. I'm not going to give it another shake. So I wound up viewing it, renting it or something like that on a lark one time. And the first, you go to that first 15 minutes, I thought it was a great way to sort of just slap you in the face and give you the idea that these characters they have no idea what's going on. And what I appreciate about the structure is the fact that it stays true to the way it needs to be structured for the characters, no matter how much dramatic irony exists. And I know that they're going to encounter predators. It doesn't have these moments where they're breaking the fourth wall constantly. It's actually constructed the right way, as if I've never seen a Predator movie before. If I don't know what goes down in these things or the type of technology we're talking about, it is constructed as if I've never seen it. But, the downside of that, Tristan, like you've said previously, is it's constructed also as if marketing does not exist. And so it's that Terminator 2 trap where it's like, well, the big reveal is kind of like, okay, right, I was expecting this, as opposed to, oh, wow, what's that? But I think even the reveal, we'll get to all of that stuff later. But I thought that the way that they introduced the characters in the beginning, I go back and forth in the very open, and I want to put this out there to you guys. I don't know whether it should open with him falling or open with him opening his eyes, completely clueless as to what's going on. Like he's been unconscious this whole time, and he wakes up. He doesn't know how long he's been on the ground, and then all of a sudden somebody else falls down, and he starts piecing together, oh, I've got a parachute too, because it feels like it could play that way. Would that have been a more effective opening than the falling?
It could. I think the falling adds so much energy to the beginning. I think you would lose a lot of that having it be. Then it's just you wake up in another room kind of movie. Like, I have never seen they wake up from the amnesia in free fall with a parachute strapped to them. Like that was a hook. Like you can read the treatment off the page where it's like, wind whips by your senses as you open your eyes and you realize you're falling, with your full tactical gear. A strange device on your parachute is beeping faster and faster. Will it deploy in time? There's no ripcord. What's going to happen? Like, I'm in. I'm hooked.
And John,
that's
what
true.
you're kind of describing made me think about the intro to Lost. When Jack is laying in the jungle floor and he kind of wakes up and he's like, what's going on? What's happening? And then, oh my God, the plane's exploding.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I don't think that's a bad instinct, but I'm with Darren on this one. I think because right when it opened, I was like, oh, okay. All right. We're okay. We're going. Okay. Oh, geez, strap in. So it very much perks you up and lets the audience know this is going to be a wild ride. Even if it's not true, it tricks your brain into thinking so. So, okay, so this one is directed by Nimród Antal. And per usual, we're getting a different director, for a different installment in the series. McTiernan, Hopkins, now Antal. Darren, what do you think about this man's direction? Talk about his pacing, the way that he uses tension. I mean, you've talked about how he utilizes the jungle just in terms of setting. Do you feel like his directing style is appropriate for the franchise? Do you think that, the one that we had before was Hopkins, and while he's a good director, he may not have been the best choice for this, or if he was the best choice, he wasn't given the support that he needed? Basically, what do you think about his interpretation of how to handle a Predator story?
No, I think he handled it really well. You can tell he watched the first one. You can tell he really enjoyed that and wanted to recreate, not a copy, but something that was much more in line in spirit with the first movie. It's a jungle movie where it's not the urban jungle. It's the jungle of a alien world. But yeah, it's funny. It made me think a lot about the things, my kind of critiques of last week of Predator 2, where I was wishing there was more mystery and it felt like the overplot of the drug cartels and all of that. This was right what I wanted, where it was, like you said, kind of like Lost, where they're all dropped in. They all know, they kind of realize what they have in common, and they're all, ready, armed for bear, loaded for bear. They're all armed up. They have guns. We have the minigun. That's all I wanted, guys. I just wanted a minigun, but
with near unlimited ammo.
Right.
Isn't that normal? How much ammo that had? That's how miniguns work. I've played video games. They last that long.
But yeah, this isn't Heat. It doesn't have accurate reload sequences at all. But no, I really liked the mystery, the reveal, the way there's just enough characters, like they kind of die off. It's a little big of a party at the beginning, but then we lose a couple, and it kind of slowly boils down towards the main ones we're going to pay attention to.
I'm glad that you brought that up because, John, I felt like not enough people died early on. I feel like we hung on to people too long.
The first death was too long, was too late.
Yeah, I feel like the first death was too late in the game, and then there were several times when I was watching some of the action sequences, and I'm like, not everyone should be dancing around these booby traps. Like, not everyone.
Well,
should be able to
when all
get
the booby
through it.
traps hit, someone should have died from that. In that moment.
Especially since they were very obviously set by a military person who knew what they were doing. They're very ineffective booby traps. No wonder the predators didn't get caught by them, because all of these schlubs made it past too.
Who are confined to the ground.
I agree, specifically because there are. It gets into, like, Walton Goggins' character lived too long. He is a predator, but he's not this kind of predator. I
think he could have died from the traps. I think that would have been a perfect spot for him to die.
He very easily should have. I think that even though I think he's a great actor, I enjoy him. Topher Grace making it as far as he did, I just couldn't buy it. I just couldn't go along with it, because I call it a bias, what have you. But everybody else who was making it through after a certain point, I'm like, okay, I can sort of argue myself into why they're still going on. And I get, I don't reject it, but it's one of those things where I'm like, hey, I feel like they could have made him a little more formidable, like have him demonstrate like that savvy,
like
that surprise
Doctor Without
savvy.
Borders, and he was stationed in, like, he got plucked from Mercy West in New York, and you're like, really? Like, I get why he's there. He's the twist of the end of, he's a monster in a different way, but that's a long game to play, that we have to suspend disbelief that this guy is, not that he wasn't chosen, but that he survived to the end encounter.
And on top of that, I think what really bothered me is before the twist happened and we're getting close to the end, I'm like, wait, so why on earth would the writers bring in a doctor but yet not utilize his medical skill at all? And so while you're watching it, you're like, this is either really lazy or there's something going to happen. And there absolutely needed to be a test of his medical knowledge. There needed to be a situation where someone rolled their ankle, I don't know, got an arrow through the ass.
Needs a splint. We got to splint somebody.
Yeah, and they say, like, you're a doctor, do something. He's like, I'm not that type of doctor, or something like that. I don't know.
As somebody springs a trap that, one of the traps in the beginning, even, like, nobody dies from it, but somebody gets injured. And he says, well, I can make him well enough to walk, but that arm's going to have to be amputated at some point. That sort of thing.
Like, that could have been Goggins in that. And they had the whole, like, plant thing, which was kind of revealing knowledge, but I had issue with that scene because I get what they're doing. They're like, oh, it's a neurotoxin, and it's I get where it is in the plot. But guys, we're not on Earth. Like, he should not be able to identify anything because it is not a human plant, right?
But see, that's where I think the preserve, at least the way my brain went with it, is they created this preserve because humans and
they're not
these other
instantly
species
going, why are these trees different? Why are these? I've never seen these. This flora and fauna. You're right. Okay,
they're hunting them here in a preserve,
one continent
instead of going off
of this
to Earth to do it.
Earth continent,
right?
And that it is an actual Earth plant. It's just from the Cretaceous period. And so, John, that gives credence to what you're talking about. It shows that this has been going on for a long time. We actually see a Neanderthal skull.
Yes.
And they were extinct 40,000 years ago. So yeah, it shows that they've been doing this for a long time. It also gives you the Chekhov's gun of the scalpel and everything like that.
Okay.
But on top of that, since
makes
we're
more
talking
sense.
about the writing, since we're already critiquing the writing, this has a very famous writer and producer, Robert Rodriguez, somebody who I very much respect as a filmmaker. And John, I want to know, did you feel Rodriguez's influence? Does it feel more like a Rodriguez film, or does it feel like an Antal film? Answer that and then give me some examples.
Okay. I cannot honestly say whether this feels like an Antal film because I haven't seen anything else that he's done. Does it feel like a Rodriguez film? God forgive me for putting it this way. No, because it's completely coherent. And
I thought you were going to say yes, because Danny Trejo is in it.
Well, yeah, that's a given.
I mean, the same year Machete dropped, he's in 2 movies this year at basically the same character.
I mean, I'm not trying to drag Rodriguez. When his style works, it works well. When it doesn't work, though, it's really tough to make it through. So does this feel more like a Rodriguez movie? I'm going to honestly say no, not really. And that's because, and maybe this is where I should give the director credit, because the gore does not get out of hand. It does not. And Tristan, I'll spoil it for everybody who can't see Tristan right now, which is everybody but us. Tristan gave me a look when I said that. There's gore, yes, but there's no exploding head, rubbery head sort of thing.
You are misinterpreting my look. Okay. For those of you at home, I think it's time we tell the story. I really wanted to not pussyfoot around and half-ass this wing of Predator. I wanted to throw in some Alien versus Predator.
Okay, there we go. Okay.
And because Alien versus Predator, the first one is 10 times better than Predator 2.
Wow, that's not true, but go on. Don't want to cut you off.
And one thing that you said you absolutely hated about Alien versus Predator is the lack of violence.
No, is the PG-13 nature
he said he
of
didn't want it to be PG-13.
I don't want it to be PG-13. I get to see somebody get their spine ripped out in this. Yes, but if it were Rodriguez doing it, I would have seen a spine ripped out and gangly things hanging off of it, and the jaw moving and the eyes rolling back and a close-up of it and stuff like that, whereas this is just a straightforward spine being ripped out. Okay, there's the distinction I'm drawing.
Well, one thing, Tristan, I mean, because at least the info I'm looking at is Rodriguez produced. He didn't write this.
It's from a story that he wrote. He had written something.
Got it.
And
I
then
missed that part.
And then it went further.
A treatment that became a plot that became a script.
Well, no, it was a full blown script that he gave to 20th Century Fox, and then they shelved it for years. And then I think once the technology kind of caught up, they're like, "Hey, we can do this now. We can do something this big with this many predators." And then they said, "They're like, okay, come on and do it." And he said, "He's like, okay, I'm going to just produce." But then what happened is that when they brought on Antal, they said, we don't think the script is good enough anymore. And they were going to actually cancel it during pre-production. And Antal's like, "Give me some writers, give me time." And they're like, "Okay, you got 2 writers, 10 days. He's like, "Oh my God." And so they rewrote the script.
This does kind of feel like we went into a cabin in the woods and hammered out this script in 2 weeks. It does kind of have that feeling.
And well, I'll give them even more credit because on the whole, it works. And I think there are just a couple of moments where here are 2 writers in 10 days. I think those same 2 writers with another 10 days, this script goes to the next level. And it's a shame that they gave them such little time, because all the way down to at the end, the last line that Adrian Brody has, I think if they had 1 more day, they could have gotten a better final line for the film. I think if they had 2 more days, they wound somebody in the traps falling. I think if they have 3 more days, they say, "Oh, we need to have the doctor stitch somebody up. Right. Like, I think that any of the shortcomings with the, what you just shared there, Tristan, any of those shortcomings are strictly a product of time and racing against the clock to get it done and good enough to start. But I still think with what they had, I mean, I'll give them credit because, the cast is great. And I don't know whether Antal is like he's an actor's director or something like that. But like, you can tell that the cast is just showing up and having a time. Like, these people are inhabiting this. They're slipping into it. And what I love most about the performances is, of course, Lawrence Fishburne is great. But I got to give him credit. Adrian Brody showed up to work. He was like, okay, I'm used to being Adrian Brody, hipster heartthrob, offbeat leading man. He's like, I'm showing up and I'm going to be the guy. I really love what he brings to this role. I think it really helps make it work.
I'm really glad that you bring that up because, Darren, I want to get your opinion on this because my wife asked me about the movie. She's like, is it better than Predators 2? I was like, of course it's better than Predator 2. And
debatable.
And she said, and she's like, did I read it right that Adrian Brody is in it? And I was like, oh yeah, woefully miscast. But the reason why they brought him on in that they went towards an Adrian Brody direction is because they wanted to do the anti-Schwarzenegger. They're like, if they got a Vin Diesel, he would just be constantly compared to Schwarzenegger. So knowing that, I think it was a really great idea. But and I'm not saying I'm right. I'm really not saying I'm right. And I'm not saying he did like a horrible job. I just feel like it could have been better with somebody else. I couldn't stand his Batman impression for the entire 2 hours. But Darren, I want to know what you think. Like, am I way off base? Are you Team John? Are you in the middle? What's going on?
No, I liked his role. I think the reluctant leader, the kind of camaraderie he builds with Isabel, I think that worked out really well. He gets it's his movie. He's in practically every shot. Like, he is the main character. There's no confusion on who is the lead character of this movie. But I thought he did a great job. And yeah, I see what you're saying about the Batman quiet talk, but those are just moments. It didn't really pull me out. I think for me, they gave enough backstory, enough reveal, even kind of playfully, of like not revealing his name till the very, very end. Like, I'm glad he didn't say something as cliche as like, I'll tell you my name if we survive this. Like, that'd be too much. But that would have been an 80s movie. They would have put that line in.
That's a pretty good line. I don't know.
But
you're knocking it, but I think that sounds great.
So, but yeah, I think like you both said, you can feel obviously the structure of the characters. There are we're going to see them and we barely are going to learn their names characters. There's like the middle ones that are going to form like the machine gun guy. Don't remember what was his name? Nikolai. Give him the most Russian name possible to remember, but we had the little connection, so then you had your lead. So you had like kind of three groups of amount of knowledge I need to put into remembering who this person is. For me, it played. And honestly, I didn't watch the trailer before the movie, and so I didn't have enough memory. So Lawrence Fishburne popped out of nowhere. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Lawrence Fishburne. And so I was really enjoyed that surprise because it was a nice moment. And I loved how it didn't break the movie. It was a part, he played his role, and then he died. Like, I think if he had stuck around any longer than he did, it wouldn't have worked as well as it did.
I wish he'd stuck around just a little bit longer because I was just enjoying his character. I basically just wanted more of him. That. I didn't necessarily like the way he went out because I just think that it was too quick, if that makes sense. I just think that he should have been given a moment to show why he was able to have killed 2 or 3 previous predators and engaged a little bit more. Stepping back to the Adrian Brody thing, I liked what I did. I liked the energy he brought. I liked what he did with his voice. I thought it was interesting specifically because he's not the type of guy that you would look at on the street in normal clothes and be like, oh, that guy's a stone cold killer, right? Like it felt like somebody who put that on. This was his work uniform, basically. And I think that the great Oleg Taktarov, former UFC champion, he was from the glory days of the earliest days of the UFC. I've been a fan of his since forever, and seeing him in the movie that's one of those things where it's like people will watch it and be like, oh, that's just the Russian character, but that's a little love mark for somebody like myself who watched the UFC back in the like really wild days, the very beginning days. Like Oleg Taktarov, it's like, oh yeah, Oleg, I love him. And he did a decent enough job. Like, he's not going to win any awards for this, but he delivered his lines as well as he needed to. And I was like, okay, cool. I dig that. I would say that the one character they didn't really seem to know what to do with was
Marshall Ali.
Yeah, Marshall. I always mess up his first name. Like, he was there, and it was just they never really seemed to know what to do with him, and then they killed him. It was like, I don't know what's really going on here. Let's just get rid of him. And I'm like, I would have rather you killed Walton Goggins' character first and given this guy more of an arc, just because it's more interesting to have somebody who is used to being, raised as a child soldier, been a bloodthirsty killer his whole life, and then suddenly he's on the other end of it, have like that moment where he's like, this is freaking me out. Now I understand what the people I was going after felt, sort of thing.
And he gets the line, like, when he talks about, hurt a man, make him bleed, make him suffer, and then use him to draw others towards, like, that's a great moment. And that moment is for that character. But yeah, he's kind of the one extra number where you're like, if you were listing them all off, it's the one you're going to almost forget until you realize you need one more in your counting. It was not utilized nearly as much. But I think as far as runtime of characters and how long we see them, I feel like these are almost kind of little nitpicks. Like, yeah, we would have loved a little more Lawrence Fishburne and a little more of this guy. But we also don't want it to be like halfway through the movie and nobody's died yet. Like, that's not going to work.
So how do you think this group held its own against the Predators? Do you think they were overpowered, underpowered, competent enough, too competent? What do you guys think? Because it's very much an us versus them movie. How did that play out?
I think for me, I think they were fairly well powered. I mean, it gave me a lot of vibes from the first movie when they're figuring out what the Predator is all about and they're just unleashing into the forest and they don't hit anything. But I think one thing that I felt was missing or underplayed is I would have liked more in the second half of, we're running out of stuff. Like, they are so free with their ammo in the very beginning, as they should be, because they don't realize the situation. Like, I wanted more of a moment midway where they're like, oh, half our guns are empty. Like, we really need to change tactics. And we never really had that moment. I think they had one line about counter ammo or something like that, but I wanted there to be a dramatic shift of tactics where, oh, we're not in a video game. There's no respawn and dropped packs of ammo around the corner. Like, this isn't the Hunger Games, although it feels kind of like it. But yeah, so I would have liked a little more of that. But no, overall, it worked. It didn't feel like, oh my gosh, 90% of them made it to the third act, and that's just crazy. It's like, no, they died left and right. But that's how I felt. What did you guys think?
I mean, you put your finger on it. The ammo thing, those sorts of things. It's I think it's a victim of the short development time, because
another pass would have caught that or embellished it.
It would have made it feel more of a flow, because you wind up having these conflicting things where it's like, well, I don't want them to run out of ammo because I need this action scene to work. okay, I'll have it, but I have to have some sort of acknowledgement that there is a limitation of ammo so that the audience understands that it's not unlimited. I think that one of the things that would have been very interesting to have them do would be to pick up some Predator technology from the camp and say, oh, like basically
Even a
say,
spear or something.
They scavenge something and they have a few things and they're like, okay, when our ammo runs out, we use these. I don't know how to use them. Well, you better learn fast. That sort of thing. And
I think Nikolai should have been the first, because I think that minigun should have run out first. And like that's like after one encounter, sorry, you're done. Like I don't care how big your backpack is. And then he's now Spearman. He's like, I don't know how. Well, that's what we got.
Yeah, well, we'll make it work. Yeah.
Was this setting alien enough? Was the planet alien enough, or would you have liked to have seen something more?
I liked that it was an engineered preserve that didn't feel alien until they walked out and saw the sky and
That's
went,
a great moment.
Oh my, and that reaction of what is happening right now? This, because I think that is a great moment, because it's very easy to put yourself in as an audience member and go, oh, I know, how would I feel if I walked out there and all of a sudden I looked up at the sky and there's 3 planets and a sun that doesn't move. Oh my God, what is happening? Right? Like that's mind blowing. And I thought that was great.
I wanted to have a little bit of a Bill Paxton moment.
Yeah.
Game over, man. Game over.
We needed something like that, where just like one guy, probably even Goggins, which I actually think, which is funny because originally Goggins' character was supposed to be much more like Paxton in Aliens, but then, and they already cast Goggins, but then they're like, you know what, we need him to be, he's too close to Paxton in Aliens, so we need to rewrite him. And so they rewrote him as this horrible rapist, and but they kept Goggins. But anyway, there needed to be a moment where somebody is like, no, you don't understand. We're screwed. Yeah. We're not on Earth. Yeah. We can't just, we just can't get on Delta and fly home. Okay.
Right.
Delta. Oh, I love that line. Yeah. It's a whole, because there's really, in the macro plot, there's a 1-2 punch. That's the first punch when you're like, okay. And then when you find Nolan, Lawrence Fishburne, and he's like, I've been here for years. And you're like, oh, we're screwed, because your second hope is like, we can find a way. And you're like, if this guy couldn't find a way off the planet in like 7 years or whatever, and we don't even know how long a year is. It's an alien planet. Like he could have been here a long time.
I think somebody did the math, or some filmmaker said that he was there for 2 years.
He said he was there for 7 cycles.
7 cycles.
Seasons.
Yeah.
7 seasons.
That's right. Which I interpreted internally of like hot, cold year weather cycles. Because how else would you even know?
See, I went with
who
it.
Are dropped off is a season. Like that's a hunting season.
No, I understand that. When I first saw it, I interpreted season as the the meteorological term. But
I agree with 7 seasons, but I view it as many more years, because I view a hunting season as an elongated time. He said he had tried to walk to the edge of the preserve before, so he had been there long enough to really explore. And this will get
5 years or something.
No, I'm saying like 7 to 10 years that he's been there for a long, maybe even longer. Like it's been a long, long time, especially given his age, that he's been there for a long time, because these other people are picked at a specific age and fitness level that Lawrence Fishburne has left behind in his past. And so I think that he's been there for much longer than that. And I think the hunting seasons, like any other hunting season, it lasts for a time and then it goes dark for a while, which goes into my other thing, because when they start talking about the blood feud between 2 different types of predators, that's a great concept. That's really great. But it always brings me back to something that goes all the way back to the first one, where it is, okay, so there's some complexity to their culture. They've mastered traveling in space. They have tremendous technology.
But they're
they
still
have
a monoculture, really.
they have like two different species going next to each other. But that's what I'm saying is who's maintaining the ships? Who's doing the accounting? Who programmed their
It's
wrist
the Klingon
devices?
problem.
Right. Is there like a predator nerd with like little predator glasses there where it's like, oh, I'm sorry, Bill. The problem with your device
who is Predator Q?
Right.
Predator Q who's developing all these crazy weapons.
Yeah,
my guess is that they're more like Cardassians than Klingons. Where actually you could actually use either one. Where Klingons and Cardassians conquer and they absorb other cultures. And my guess is that they take what they
scavenge the technology from other planets.
But you
maybe not even necessarily scavenge. But I think that's a definite point that
Wrong
you can
term,
go down.
But yeah,
but I think I think their nerds are probably a different alien race, is my guess.
It's like a subjugated race.
It's possible, but I mean, because you need somebody that's able to
spitting in the dark.
No. I need this in canon, Tristan. I need a series on HBO Max in canon, 10 episodes a season, explaining the intricacies of Predator culture. But I mean, you need to maintain this stuff. You need to develop this stuff. You need to refine this stuff. I think, where I go with the multiple alien races interacting is that these are basically like, this is their military training. This is their thing. As to your point, Tristan, they're preparing to go out and conquer everywhere. They're prepping for conquering Earth, for instance. Okay, we got to start bringing in Earth people here. We got to be ready for our big push in, because maybe they're they don't reproduce at a fast enough rate. So they just have to go out and leave colonies on other planets or something like that. But I think that it's just one of those tough things where it's like, I could see it more as, if I go back to the first Predator, that these are the special forces that are being sent out on these expeditions by a race that's controlling them and using them the way that they're like the Jem'Hadar, if we want to stay in the Star Trek sort of thing. But
I was gonna say it kind of gave me like Halo vibes, where Halo has like a variety of alien in the Covenant. You have your grunts, you have your tech people, you have your religious caste, and although I almost would postulate that the predators we see in these movies are like the head of clans, like they're the lead. Like, I don't think it's just, hey Bob, it's your turn to go on the hunt. Like, I feel like you have a status to be able to go on these hunts, because everything is laid out for them. Like, everything's controlled by their gauntlet, their ships, there's a lot of automation where it's just, like they've said, it's the rich going on safari. And I don't necessarily feel like, economics is what plays in Predator society. It feels more like status and clanship, but it feels more like, oh, you are the new head of this clan. You're going to go out and prove yourself on the hunting grounds. Like, that makes more sense to me, but it's all speculation. We're all just spitballing here.
Yeah. So, okay. McTiernan kind of had a mythic hunter that was an invisible threat. Hopkins had an urban predator that was chaotic and showboating. How would you describe Antal? Because I would kind of say that what he brought to the mythos and to the series was tribal warfare and expansion.
Yeah. I think it was interesting having the small predator being the classic predator we know, and then the large predator, which had almost Predalien type jowls.
I loved Fishburne's analogy of it. He's like, it's like the difference between a wolf and a dog.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I honestly, it's weird. It's a really small thing. One of my favorite parts of the mythology that we get is those iron spike totems. And that we see the first one, which I assume is the small predators one, which has some bodies around it, but it's very small. Like, there's a small pile and there's no encampment. And then we get to this one and we're like, oh, this is the one that's been winning, because he's got the whole setup. He's got, stuff hanging from the trees. Like, this feels like the one that's getting the prizes every time they win, and is really, but he all had the same spire. And then the fact that the small one was chained to that as like a mark of, you know, of servitude or being beaten. Like, you're chained to my iron spike. Like, I love just that little detail that they had those monoliths there. It said a lot without saying a lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, it's the hint of more complex culture sitting somewhere just off screen. And I think that's the sort of thing that Predator 2 brings to it as well, is that there's something more complex than we've seen at first. You know, the big reveal of the interior of the ship in Predator 2 and the skulls, and then other predators showing up, and it's like, oh, okay, there's something else going on here. And then this one, I think, does a good job of advancing that even further, of having the totems, of having the warring clans, of having that we're seeing a little bit more as we go along. And as strange as it is to say, it's not the Predators movie. You know, like their stuff has to be told in the margins, but I think it at least gives a sense of world building, that this wasn't lazy in the sense of, well, it's just another Predator and they're all the same. Right. And why not do that? They actually embrace it. I mean, I would say, based on that, though, I mean, I think we would all agree that the prosthetic effects, the stuff they had with the Predator
were top notch in this movie.
I mean, every penny went into that, I would say, right? I mean, it's just crazy how good it looked. I mean, do you consider it like a giant step up?
It's hard to say, because on principle, you're not supposed to see a lot of the monster. They're cloaked, they're in the shadows, they're in smoke, and so. But what you do see, like, I like how, you know, what we had, like the tracker predator, the falconer predator, and like the hunter predator, like the 3 different types. So, I mean, I felt that, yeah, every cent, I don't even know the budget of this movie, but the 40 million, which is not a ton, but also not a, you know, chump change. You know, I see it on screen. I see it everywhere on screen. There was no moment where I was like, oh, they kind of, yeah, there's some parts where you can tell this was a soundstage, probably more just because we're used to the practicality of filming and we know what would make sense. But I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think about because we're learning more about the Predator. What do you think about the honor and that part of the culture? Like, the fact that this is very T2 in the fact that we trust a Predator. We cut him down. We make a pact with him, and he honors that. Like, did that feel out of character, or did it elevate the Predator from just a mindless hunter to an actual being that can make a compromise, that isn't, when he was cut down, he wasn't immediately killing everybody? Did that work, or did that feel like it cut the teeth of another major movie monster?
It's a good question. I would say that it showed that Predator had honor, but I think that's even keeping with the first Predator, where when Arnold has, you know, basically declared war on him, and it's at the very end, right before the Predator decides to just like whoop up on him and knock him around, the Predator makes a very big show of like, okay, you've earned this.
Oh, he takes all the parts off.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to kill you the right way. Okay, I'm not going to do this from a distance. This is you and me, and let's do this right. So I think that is in keeping with the first film and the second film, of course, because, you know.
Oh, that's true. In Predator 2, at the end, they don't kill Danny Glover. Right. They give him a trophy, and they're like, you won. And then he gets to go free. Kind of a Riddick, keep what you kill kind of vibe, you know.
Right. Here you go. Yeah, it's a Mean Joe Green tossing the towel in the old Coca-Cola ad. Here you go, kid.
Except for it's a flintlock pistol and has the date conspicuously stamped on the side.
Hey, do you know how much that thing is worth? Come on now.
Darren, I want you to give me a standout scene or moment or direction before you give me your final rating.
I will say it's hard because there's so many scenes. I'll go with one we haven't talked about, and I'm not saying it's the best scene, but I think it was a good scene. The sword fight scene. It was, we were obviously leaning up to it because we have one character who has, doesn't, I mean, he has a gun, but then later he picks up, it's very video game like this movie where it's like +1 and you found a friend and a health pack. And then he finds the sword, which also was kind of interesting, building the mythos of like, oh, it's a very old sword. And it means they probably brought Japanese people here from, the Edo period or something. But yeah, that was I liked the kind of Billy vibes it gave. It was very much,
but we actually get to see it.
Yeah, he takes off his outer robe and he draws his sword. And now personally, I cannot picture how a predator fights with a giant sword that's strapped to his arm. That doesn't make sense to me, but it worked, and it was a fun scene. Like I don't feel it's the best scene of the movie, but I liked what they did. It was kind of the Chekhov's gun in a way as well. It played off. I liked how they both died. That made sense as well. So I liked it. I think it feels like something that was probably in draft 1 and stuck through, not in a bad way, but it had that vibe. And I liked seeing someone go mano a mano on the Predator, not just guns and not just mud and pointy, using their own weapons, but instead being the best at what they had. You could tell that's why they chose him. They're like, oh, I want to fight this guy. So I enjoyed that scene on the soundstage that it obviously was. So.
Well, I thought the way that the wind blew in the grasses was really, really well done. I actually, speaking of that sword fight scene, I think that Antal, he's an action director, and I think that scene is a good example of like he has a good sense of how to make sure you don't get visually confused. I would say that that's another thing that sets it apart from a Rodriguez movie. Is with a Rodriguez movie, the action can get very visually cluttered at times in the sense of place and space can get a little weird. I don't think this movie's perfect in that regard, but I think that it's good in that regard.
I never felt lost. I was never like, I have no idea where I am or where we're going.
I think that I don't know that there is a standout scene. This movie hits its level and stays there, and it never really varies. Like it's a good thing, but also, it keeps it from ascending past a certain level because it gets there quick and then it stays there, and it's never trying to elevate above that plateau that it hits. Again, that sounds like a really backhanded compliment, but it's like it got there fast and it kept it going. So that is a compliment. Like it doesn't lose momentum. It just never goes beyond. I would say that the scene that I will always love is when they use Topher Grace's character for bait, and the creature chasing.
hate you.
Yeah. But just at the end, I'll give Topher Grace credit that the way that he delivers his line of F, and he takes the right amount of pause before he goes, all of you. Like that's a very authentically delivered one. And I think that, as strange as it may seem, that's a standout for me.
No, I don't think that's strange. Topher Grace, the best thing about Topher Grace in everything he's in is his delivery. So I absolutely hear that. Darren, give us your how many Predators are you giving this?
Well,
what
I
number
have
of Predators?
So many numbers to choose from based on the red dots on top of Adrian Brody. No, one other thing I wanted to say about the sword fight scene is I was expecting it, but he didn't do it because the Predator turns off his cloaking pretty early. I was wanting to see him using the grass to tell where the Predator was because he was still cloaked for like the first part of the fight. Like I thought that's kind of why he chose that location. Didn't go that way, but maybe the budget was running out. So yeah, I'm giving this a 4. This is a fun movie. I enjoyed watching it again. I'll probably rewatch it just to kind of reabsorb. I love the beginning. The way Lawrence Fishburne popping up is a delightful treat. And, it does it like you were saying, Tristan, it could easily have broken the fourth wall a bunch and been a little too on the nose, but I felt it rode the line and kept it between, oh yeah, you know what's going on because you're an audience member, versus everything's a mystery because these characters know nothing. So yeah, I'm giving it 4 Predators, which there were 4 Predators because there was the 3 and then the small Predator. So that's the only right actual number of Predators in this movie.
John.
Well, good sir, I'll point out that you never gave us your standout scene. So I expect that before you give your rating. But I will give this an equal to Predator 2 4, because I think that it's enjoyable. It's fun. I think that it's an action movie. And I think that it very much also feels of its time when reboot sequelitis was really in full swing in Hollywood. Like this is Tron Legacy time. This is Predators. This is post Superman Returns, when studios are starting to figure out, we got to try to find a way to reawaken these franchises from, being dormant for so long, right? We have to get our Batman money. We have to get our Tron money. We got to figure out a way to mine the nostalgia. And what I enjoy about a movie like Predators is it's not the heartless mining of an IP. This is a reboot sequel done by people who just loved it as much as I did back in the day and got a chance to make a Predator movie. And it's like, okay, and here's $40 million, make a Predator movie. And it's like, they just kind of made something that's like, hey guys, we're not going to ask too much of you. This is what you want, and we're going to give it to you, and we love it as much as you do. So have a time. So 4 for me.
My standout scene, and actually I want to correct something. You changed your rating of the original Predator from 4 to 5 to justify the travesty of giving
it was not to
Predator 2
justify.
a 4.
It's because I had spent time thinking about it, and I knew I was wrong, and that you old sourpuss, you peer pressured me into that 4, and I gave it a 5, then I stepped it down, and then I thought about it again. I said, no, it deserved a 5. So don't you do that to me. So no, there you go.
My standout moment is the Predator versus Predator fight. I love that crap. I eat that stuff up. I absolutely do. When it's like the Hulk versus the Thing, I very much want to see that fight. And I'm glad that it went down the way that it did, where it was like, you see something like a super Predator, yeah, you're damn sure he better he better win. And so for me, I think I'm much more critical of this than you guys. I enjoyed this. I think this is a fun movie. I'm giving it a 3, but it's a good 3. Like, it's a solid 3. Like, this is good stuff. It's fun, but there's a lot wrong with it. And there's times when it's randomly boring, which is kind of strange. It feels like it's the, you talk about how it, maintains a pace. At the same time, while maintaining that pace, it feels like we're just repeating the same thing kind of over and over again. So to me, I say 3, solid movie, but it could have been a lot better.
Yeah.
Darren, what are we doing next week?
Well, next week, there's been a lot of other movies that come out by some of our favorite directors, including director Christopher Nolan. So we are going to do a pickup episode of Oppenheimer from 2023 here on Houselights.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.